Hello and welcome. I'm Jenny Hall. Today I'm taking part in the Trinity Stamps birthday release video hop. Be sure that you comment on this video and subscribe to my channel, and that will enter you to win a couple of different prizes. And this is going to be a huge video hop, so be sure to hop along to all the products. Today I'm going to create an A7 sized card. The new products from the release that I'm using are the Best Tea Party stamp set, the Buttercup Blossoms stamp set, and an A7 envelope builder die set. You've seen our slimline die set, and now this is made for an A7 size. In that die set, there are also a couple of card panels that I'm going to use, and so it's just really great. It's a great thing to have in my card supply. So I'm going to make my card base first for an A7 sized card, and that's 5 by 7. I'm using the Trinity Ergonomic Teflon bone folder, so mouthful, in order to score. It's one of my favorite Trinity tools. And I'm going to start off by stamping onto some Express It blending cardstock to do some Copic coloring. I'm using blackout ink from Ink on 3 to do my stamping because it's Copic friendly. Now I'm going to do very simple coloring, and I love this little image here. It's just a vine, and it has a flower on the end and a couple of flowers throughout. And I decided to stamp it multiple times because I have an idea in my head that I would create a scene with the little bears having their little tea party, and then there would be these flowering vines that would hang from the top down above their heads. I changed the way I did it in the end, which you'll see, so be sure to stick through the end of the video to see actually how the card came out. And meanwhile, I've got these images that are ready to die cut. So I'm going to die cut them one by one. And here's a look at the panel that comes with the envelope set. It has a stitched line that runs along the inside. So I'm going to place some Post-it tape right where that stitched line is. Now this is going to give me a perfect little white scalloped border, which I absolutely adore being able to use that. And this is not a one-layer card, but it sure helps to keep the layers down when I can build a card background in this way. So once I've got that secured and all that little white scalloped area is not going to get any ink on it, then I'm going to set forth with my Trinity blending brushes that has the little color-coded caps on the end. And I'm using Ink on 3 Atelier inks. I'm using the green, the teal, and the blue. And then after I add lots and lots of saturated ink, I keep on adding and keep on adding until that ink builds up really nicely and it all blends together beautifully. Then I will bring the black ink pad, and this is not the blackout. This is the regular version called Paint It Black. Here it is on the screen now. And what it does is it intensifies the color. It takes it from being a possible daytime scene to definitely seeing that it's a nighttime scene. So I'm just adding that around the 4 edges and then kind of bringing it into curve on the inside of those corners. Now I'm going to give a spritz of water or 2, and we're going to pick up the water droplets, and that's going to give me a variation in the background. It's going to appear like little tiny stars or maybe little tiny lightning bugs. It's so pretty doing it that way. And I'm taking some ink refill. This is the Shark Tooth White from Ink on 3. And then I'm using a long paintbrush to just give some splatters. That's going to give me a more bright, starry look versus the splatters. So by doing the water splatters, then it's kind of very light, very far away stars. But by doing the white splatters, it brings up to the brighter stars. And then we'll add some embellishments to get even brighter. So it's going to give us lots of depth. Now on the card base, I decided that I didn't want it to be stark white. I really wanted that scalloped area to show up. So I'm taking the brushes that I used earlier and using the residual ink that's already on those brushes just to kind of go around the different edges of the card base so that it's not white. There's not much color there, but it's not white. And that's going to let those little scalloped edges show up beautifully. And it kind of just gives the hint of the echoes of color. So I'm going to plan out exactly how to lay out these beautiful little images. I colored them off camera. I will list all of the colors of the COPICS in the video description for you if you're interested. And here's the idea that I had with those little hanging vines. For some reason, when I put them on, I couldn't see the sky, and the sky looks so pretty. So I thought, oh, okay, well, we're gonna think about this again. In the meantime, I'll add my sentiment. So before I attach this layer down to the card base, I'm going to first treat with an anti-static tool and then use some Ink on 3's Juicy ink pad. And this is wonderful for embossing. So it's a clear embossing sticky ink. And then I can spread on some Ink on 3 Arctic White embossing powder. It's a really nice detailed powder that will show nicely. So it's dark enough in that area that the white works out good. Now here's a peek at a brand new tool from Trinity. It's a pokey end on one end, and then it's like a wax pickup tool on the other end. But what I really like it the best for is to be able to make sure that my embossing stays in just the right space before I bring the heat tool to it. So I just kind of pushed around a couple of grains of that embossing powder with that tool, and it worked perfectly. Once I get everything heat set, then I'm going to attach it with some double-sided foam tape to that card base and then place my images. Now these images are really big. I didn't think when I planned out this design, I was thinking that the bears were a little smaller, but this is a 5x7 card. These bears are huge. I mean, they're big, and so they take up a lot of real estate on the front of the card. So I'm placing them here, and I colored up another image. Instead of those trailing vines, I used the same exact colors to color up this little cluster here. And you know what? I kind of like the way it worked out. I like that I have that cluster of flowers with the little honey pot, the honey teapot, and then I've got these little bees that also come in the Best Tea Party stamp set. Everything that you see here that's not a flower is from the Best Tea Party stamp set. So I'm trying to figure out, I don't want to waste those vines, but in the end, I just said, you know what? I'm going to use them for another project somewhere down the line, and I will just use the cluster that I've got here and let that beautiful sky actually show up. So I'm using a set of Oh My Stars embellishment mix. These are some really pretty holographic stars. You can see when they're in the Trinity Tidy tray that they are just so shiny and multicolored. Whenever the light hits them, they turn colors. And so resting, they're one color, but whenever the light hits them, then they just turn all sorts of rainbow colors. I'm going to place those little stars all over the card, not just at the top. I'm going to put a couple at the bottom too. Now it's time for the white gel pen, and I am adding little highlights all over the images. I'm also adding some inked up stars up in the background, so that's going to help everything kind of tie together. Just by adding a little dot of that white gel pen here and there, it really helps to bring the images alive. It doesn't seem like I make a project anymore that I don't use the white gel pen. So it's just been such a wonderful resource. And then I'm going to draw little lines on the teapot, which looks like a honey a beehive, and it's so cute. I love this stamp set, and I'm really digging the A7 size. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and see if you like this A7 size as much as I do. I can make my own custom envelope for it too. I hope that you have enjoyed this demonstration and that you will let me know in the comments below. Be sure to follow through. There's a link in the first line of the video description that will get you to the next video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.